All right, I'm here with Northern Territory Metalcore Legends, Co. And so I've got with us Andy on vocals, Lucas, who's a guitarist, and Lachlan on bass. And we are going to dive into all things Co. And get to know them and their new EP and start to think about what the future looks like for the band as well. So, welcome to Wall of Sound. Let's start with the name. What is Co and how did you all come together?
Um, it's a great question. Co started off as a weird, yeah, it took many forms, long ago, probably about probably about 6 years ago. I was in Darwin with the other guitarist Kieran, and I've been wanting to do like a metalcore band with him for like a spur of the moment thing. He's like, oh, we should do this, it'd be great. So we wrote a lot of Polaris worship on, some higher down tunings, and we were doing all that sort of stuff. But eventually fizzled out. Then tried to do like a rock band approach, and that was a whole thing that didn't happen. But eventually, I started writing some more material in lower tunings and had some groovy stuff come up. And I asked Kieran, I was like, "Hey, let's run this up again." And I had my drummer from year 12, like a music program. I hit him up and was like, "Yep, come join." And then I started piecing together some of the fellas from the muso community. It's where I picked up Lucas, and I finally convinced Linkson to play on bass as he was in. I think you're in Japan at the time,
Yeah, and
or
I've just
some.
come down. Yeah.
Yeah, he come back. It's like
So,
play bass, please. He was like, "Oh yeah, right, I'll do it." But yeah, it started off as just a couple dudes in a room writing some stuff.
Yeah, cool. So Lucas and Lachlan, how did you come into the picture?
well, we've been, me and Lucas are sort of like, I've been back and forth from uni ever since I finished school, but we've been playing music together for about 15 years. And I knew that Lucas was sort of on board, and I met like Andy around the traps when I'd been back to Darwin and things like that, but I hadn't really lived in Darwin for a really long time. And yeah, one day Andy approached me and sort of said, "Oh, we've got this thing going, this project. Like, I'll send you some demos of it. Like, we want you to play bass." And I was a bit taken aback because I'd sort of focused on career development and things like that, and it was a bit of a washed up unit in that regard. And he showed me the demos. I was like, "Oh, this is all right." Like every other band I've seen coming out of Darwin's been a bit of a piss take, but this is actually like something serious. So yeah, got around to rehearsal. Realized I could still sort of make the sounds and do the thing that I needed to do. And yeah, Lucas was a big part of getting me on board as well. So it's just good to drop back in the groove with him. And yeah, it's been really good ever since.
Awesome. Lucas, how did you drag drag Lachlan back in?
I guess just because, going off what he was saying about playing in bands for 15 years, we did the grade 11, 12 band, playing the local community centre. And then we went our separate ways. I continued playing in bands for a few years. And yeah, Linkson just went off to uni down in Melbourne, then, doing the season in Japan for work as well. But no, we've always kept close contact because every time Lachlan comes into town, we'd hang out. And as I started going in the music scene there and sort of getting places in my own bands. I'd met Andy through shows, because between me and Lachlan, we're the same age, but between Andy and the others, we've got about a 3 to 4 year age gap. So it was sort of when Andy was coming to shows is when we were already like in our mid 20s ish, and then from there, pretty much just said to Lachlan, hey, like there's these guys that really want to play. You know, they've got sick demos and they really want to play. Like, let's give this an honest crack. Give ourselves the chance that 13, 15 year olds didn't have that 15 years ago. So yeah, it's just been really rewarding, and I think it kind of speaks for itself. It didn't take too much convincing for Lachlan. I think, yeah, it was just good enough hearing the demos.
So tell us a little bit about the demos that you heard. Are they the things that have sort of come onto the new EP or have they evolved since then?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
pretty
go on,
much it was
Lucas.
mid 2023. Andy had sent me a demo, which is the song we were the lead song of this lead single of this EP called Blasphemous. I think it was and Andy can heavy version. He was talking about it being a rock band and such. But yeah, I heard this demo and went, far out. Andy's a guitarist as far as I knew. I didn't know he had vocals about him. So it was really crazy to hear that. And then, that's where I then shared it with Lachlan and, let's get this all together. This is something we can't really miss out on. But yeah, that was my first impression. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's something that's sort of grown a bit organically as those demos got passed through the community a bit and the right people have heard them and then jumped on board with what you were doing, Andy.
Thankfully, I guess. Yeah. It made the rounds and had its variations after each, iteration, I guess, but definitely started off with the intent to do something a little bit heavier, a little bit more intense, with a bit more intention to songwriting and making sure it makes sense as a cohesive piece. Even though Blasphemous now, I think it's might be the longest song on the EP, which is like 5 minutes 30 or something like that. Which, I mean, I guess for metal attention spans, that's it's a big ask, but I think it doesn't overstay its welcome, and I'm glad that these two fellas got along and said, like, yeah, okay, cool, we'll run with them. Like, yes, cool, great.
Yeah, you were looking for some more partners in crime and you found them in these two.
Oh, for sure. And I wouldn't wish for anyone better, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I can feel the love through the screen, even though we're sort of spread a bit around, which we'll talk about in a sec. I mean, you're sort of living now around Australia, across different states. So how do you keep it rolling?
Lachlan, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think it's as easy as it's ever been for a band to be in separate parts of Australia. And I think like a lot of the big touring bands at the moment, particularly like Northlane and things like that, are split between Melbourne and Sydney. But thankfully, we've got a good backlog of talent and brains in terms of composing music on a digital screen, and we play to a click track. So in terms of rehearsals and things like that, that can essentially be all undertaken remotely until it's time to all get together in a room, which has been happening 3 to 4 times a year. But I guess just through the vessel of modern technology, it's been very easy to feel like we're tight and cohesive as a live piece. Despite the fact that we're all sort of split between different weird parts of Oz at the moment. So yeah, we're really lucky in that sense of things.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds remarkable, but also, as you say, one of the features of Australia is our capital cities are a little bit separate from each other. And so there are bands like yourself and, I suppose, Make Them Suffering, like you cited Northlane. There's a few bands that are sort of spread in some ways from coast to coast or along the east coast or things. But we don't hear sort of typically a lot of stuff coming out of the Northern Territory. So I suppose, Andy, because you're there at the moment, what's the scene like for metalheads in the Northern Territory? You've kind of touched on, the Civic Centre and a few other places where you can get together. But what does that look and sound like as a community?
It's quite a lot smaller, but I think we have the most heart out of the rest of the states. I think there is a lot of unbridled passion for those who go and watch music and those who play music. I think because there's not that much in terms of quantity going on, all the energy and passion is focused into those when it does come up. And the bands who play more locally and more consistently, there's a cult following with those guys, and there is a constant flow of support from that local community, which is it's great. It's kind of like, it's not even like a curse, or it's more just a blessing, because you get this tight group of people that just full gun and support your stuff when you're performing or when you're putting stuff out. It's like, yeah, this is good, and it feels bigger than what it actually is, because it is so direct and so personal. A lot of the local scene is spread around through like different genres. Like there's a lot of like folksy, sort of like funky, jazzy stuff, and there's more pub rockish bands, and there's a few younger bands that are coming up nowadays. And they're like, the other day we went to this gig and we saw like a bunch of young bands, and they're awesome. Chapel Act being one of them. Off the top of my head, Swing Jaw is a new hardcore band. There was a couple more. If I had them written down, I'd say all of them, but they were all super super sick. And yeah, it was having those gigs crop up, even though it's a bit smaller venue and there's not as much people coming. It's balls to the wall. It's awesome. It's great. It's really good, and that's shown with the shows. We've just had like such support for everyone coming along, and it's been great. It's been really really good.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow up. Have you had the chance to perform the new songs, and how are they going over?
Yeah, pretty good. pretty 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 good. We've had a couple people grab the mic and sing the lyrics too, which is quite quite crazy as a vocalist. People grab them and, like knowing the words. I'm like, oh, I didn't think you guys could understand it necessarily, but no, that's awesome. But yeah,
The enthusiasm's there though.
yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And like in our recent show at Terror Loud, where we had a bunch of interstate bands come up, which was really cool. We had Relica, Bitter Kind, and a couple others. We
Oh,
had
yep. I saw
yeah,
some stuff about that on socials.
oh, it was great. Tim's a sweetheart, and he's put Terrell out on pretty much every year, or at least every second year, and it's been freaking sick. But yeah, at the moment we've played all the songs on the EP finally, and and it's did it front to back, and it worked out pretty good as far as I could hear, I guess.
Yeah, so it sounds good. So if I was coming up to Darwin and I'm looking for where should I go if I want to meet the metalheads, are there some particular venues where I'm probably going to have a good time?
There's a few. There's a few. At the moment, the big place that people are going to is Busted Town. I think that's I've a bunch of gigs happening specifically there. It's a good venue. There's like kind of two sections. There's like an outdoor area, which is more like a beer garden, smokers area, and then the inside is like this. It's like a shed almost, like a long shed with a pool table, and back there's a bar. It's a real nice vibe, and like it's kind of a smallish stage, but it's real close and intimate. It's sick. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And a couple others. I mean, there's the Antara, which is at Landmark, which you usually where Terror Loud happens, and that's pretty cool because it's kind of like underground area, a little bit more like clubby, a bit more doofy. It's that's pretty cool. And there's a few others. Railway. There's different spots wherever the gigs pop up. There you'll know what
Yeah.
they are, and it's not that far from each other either.
All right, cool. So I'll be able to find something good to do on a weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, man. I think
absolutely.
if you head out south of where Darwin is, there's something about the water supply out there, and people just love it. They're craving metal, so we usually get a really good showing of the pseudo bogan crowd at Entrada, which is where the last Terror Loud was. And they just go hard. I don't know what they do during the week, but they got plenty of energy on the weekends. So it's
Yeah.
been a pretty impressive showing so
All
far.
right. So I got to head slightly out of town down south.
Yeah, only it won't kill you, but you'll meet some interesting operators on the
Yeah,
way out.
cool. Wouldn't have it any other way. So when I had the chance to review the EP, obviously, and I thought you sound remarkably established. And so hearing that, you're also writing and recording from different parts of Australia and kind of things like that, I was pretty blown away. Although now that you've kind of explained where you've come from, like is something that's been in the works for a while through different iterations. You've all played in different bands and different projects. So the fact that it's come together as an EP is now not as surprising now that I've got to know you a little bit better. But Follow Your Ghost, like that's pretty raw, as your first single. But the newer songs, I think, are a little bit more layered in production. And there's sort of a few things bubbling along underneath. River Mirror really worked for me. Like that's a mosh bouncing kind of tune that I think's pretty good. So what's the process been like to bring your songs to this point to have them ready to gig and record?
Lucas, if you want to answer that's cool.
Sure. I guess the first thing fundamentally, because we do have a bit of a different writing process. Like we really value the times that we're all in town together to write. So coming up at the end of this month when we've got this next show, we're going to hopefully make the most of getting in the room again together. We do these Discord calls and such, and do group writing, but obviously some of the best ideas when you can tangibly be next to people and say, hang on, can I just grab a guitar and do this part I'm talking about, instead of give me 5 minutes while I plug in and screen share and then figure that out. But yeah, the songwriting, starts with a bare bones demo, whether Andy starts it off with guitars, bass, and then some drums programmed in there and vocals and scratch tracks. We then come together on lyrics. A lot of the time we have a shared iPhone note that we just go through and all hit lyrics on this lyric board. And then, from there, we've played songs such as Follow Your Ghost live before. It's kind of been given that final layer of polish. So, my sort of big role when I came into Co was doing the production for a lot of these songs. So it was sort of like being let out of the cage when I was put in this situation to say, hey, you're like mucking around with all these extra layers and textures, Lucas. Do you just want to go nuts? So it was a bit of a pressure for me, but I really, really thrived, I thought. And Follow Your Ghost was the first where I just threw a bunch of stuff at the wall. And then I think when River Mirror came around, I really was able to sort of find my footing even better. And then when the EP came about, I just spent a good few weeks just going back and forth between every song. And yeah, just really going nuts with the production, which I hope comes through in setting us not like apart and sounding like this established band that sort of can sit shoulder to shoulder with the other acts in Australia.
And like I thought that really came through. Like, you look at sort of debut EP, so to speak, and there might be a couple of tracks to hang your hat on, but I thought you've got like a really solid set of songs there. And they're all a little bit different from each other. There's a bit of experimentation with what, like metalcore can be very much formulaic in terms of like, you have a growling kind of unclean verse and you have a clean chorus, or you might do growl, 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 have a bit of a clean bridge or something like that. But you've kind of got different things happening on each song. Lightless has kind of this gnarly little jazzy drum fill kind of part going as well. A real ripping solo that doesn't sound like the other solos. So in keeping that in mind, like you've obviously, like you said, you've done a bunch of work to sort of polish these songs and get them there. Have you got some ideas about other things you might try to incorporate in terms of your next batch of songs?
Few things. Definitely want to simplify it without getting rid of the quality. I think in future we want to add more, not to put like tokenized words, but we want to add more swamp. We want to add more dirt to it, get it a little bit more closer to the ground, get a little bit more groovy going on. So that's kind of the MO for Co, is simple songwriting or simple ideas with thought out structures. And if we can simplify that and get the most amount of idea out of the simplest foundation, and it's groovy and it's like a mosher, and played live, it's sick, then that's kind of that's the mission statement, at least for me looking forward. And I think I can't speak for the other fellas in saying I think we're on the same page of getting a little bit more gritty, a little bit more simplified and dirty, I guess.
Yeah. And when you say swamp, are you thinking of like slowing some stuff down to like that like real slow groove that then you can pick it up and go bang with like a fast part or blast beats or whatever it might be?
Yeah, whatever is for that part to get it have the most impact. There'll be, whatever, if it needs a tempo change, ramp it up and slow it back down just to get that flowing groove, throughout that track.
We'll sort of do a whip around here. Like, for each of you, what's your kind of standout track on the EP? You want to go first, Andy?
Yeah, sure, I can go. Standout track is it's between River Mirror and Golden Death, those are my absolute favorites. I think Golden Death has my pick, but I've known River Mirror the longest, so it's kind of hard to take. There is
I
something
know I'm
really
making you pick favorite children here. I know that, but yeah,
a little. There's the obvious favorites, but not again. Look, there is something really aggressive with Golden Death. That is just sounds pissed off, and it sounds real groovy. And there's only one repeating section,
Yep.
which is like the chorus. Each section is different, which wasn't necessarily intentional, but it just, yep, this is the part. And that's actually, to piggyback off what Lucas was saying, that was one of the instances when we were in a room. And same with River Mirror, actually. We were in rooms when we were writing those songs, and it produced the, yep, throw that, yep, do that, and it just worked out well. I think Golden Death might be my pick.
I think you might have talked yourself into it.
Yeah, a little bit.
What
Yeah,
about you,
man.
Lachlan?
I think it's just going to be blasphemous. Like, obviously, that's an easy pick. It's like it's doing numbers on Spotify, and it's like an easy listen. But to me, and like noting what you guys have just said about, like, yeah, River Mirror has some amazing like groovy parts and things like that, and there's a lot to like from the EP, which I've obviously, man, I appreciate you saying. But it just feels like the most complete encapsulation of the co-sound to me. Like, it's just crushingly heavy. I was super proud of how the clean vocals came out of the chorus. I was really excited for that, and that seems to be sort of entertaining a different part of the co-fandom to the rest of a lot of the stuff. And obviously, it's just a 100% crowd pleaser. So yeah, I find it very hard to go past Blasso, man.
Even got its own nickname.
It
Yeah.
does.
What about for you, Lucas? What's your pick?
Oh, that's hard. Follow Your Ghost was the first song we put out officially, and it's the one I kind of really sunk my teeth into with production as well. So like, I feel pretty predisposed to saying that is my favorite. But then came River Mirror, which was still the end of the song is my favorite. But I almost have to agree with Andy on Golden Death, because every song when I do the production, the next one becomes my favorite, whether I really struggled with one or I'm like, oh, I'm just getting no joy on cracking the code on this, so I'm going to move to another. Golden Death just it worked through me. I didn't have to work through it in a way. It just was way easier than the other tracks. It was more seamless to put through, and it feels like almost the spark notes of the whole EP. At least to me, it feels like you can get a little bit of every song in it. So I'm gonna have to say Golden Death for me.
Well, that was actually the next song I was going to ask about. So we've got 2 votes for Golden Death, with a half vote for River Mirror, maybe Follow Your Ghost, and a full vote for Blasso, as we're now calling it.
Yeah.
So, like, Golden Death, like that's the one for me. Like, I pretty much liked it from start to finish. Obviously, yeah, as you've noted, Blasphemous is just like so straight ahead. Probably a little bit more conventional, even if it is longer, but certainly catches the ear. But Golden Death as a closer, like, that's a statement of intent. Totally ferocious. Like you noted, has some changes through it, even if they're a bit subtle. And so, like, what inspired the lyrics and music of that song?
It was it was a round off of all the other lyrics. It was kind of like what were we saying throughout the rest of these songs? How can we condense it? How can we kind of like subtly reference some other songs? It was I think it was just like the definition of the EP. That's what the EP meant in that final song. It was just reiterating the entire track list back at the end. And it was just reiterating exactly what you listened to, just to reaffirm that all the lyrical content.
And so it's a fitting conclusion, therefore, to the EP.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah. So what does the rest of the year look like for Co?
I can speak, but I feel I've been speaking too much. I've been yapping my mouth off.
Lachlan
Any of you
might have
fellas,
an
you
idea.
can go.
Yeah.
I don't.
Look, we are already writing new music, which we've got 2 demos at the moment. And suffice to say, they are in it, as we've sort of alluded to, a very gritty direction. There's still a bit of a way to go on them, but we feel just in terms of like the direction that sound's taken, just it's angrier, it's more raw, it's more ferocious, it's maybe a little less heavy on the emotional undertones and more just straight fury. So that's incredibly exciting. And I guess I'm happy to say that like we've been in serious active conversations about shows in Victoria at the end of October. So that's still an ongoing thing, not confirmed just yet, but we're really excited to be branching out and seeing what we can throwing our weight around in the glorious Victorian capital and a few other towns and seeing what goes down there. So I guess I'll leave it at that. But it's pretty exciting, man. Big things happening, and we're really excited to blow some heads, I would say.
And you've got a gig coming up.
Yes, Swelterfest, 29th of August.
Give us the hard sell. What can we expect at Swelterfest?
So many bands. So many bands. There's such a lineup. It starts from like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, ends at like 2 or something like that. There's so much stuff going on. We got guys from South Asia, like they're flying in. We got some bands from interstate. It's just a melting pot of lots of heavy, cool bands. It's at Busted Town, and you better be there. Swelterfest. That's it. You better be there. From my understanding, there's like 3 different stages or 2 different stages, and they kind of do like the sort of the overlapping, not the overlapping, but like they do one, and then while the band's changing, like they do, it just maximizing the amount of music that can be played. So lots of Long Islands will be had, I think.
So where's Co fitting on that bill?
Somewhere, I guess.
I reckon we're in the early evening at this stage. And KJ, I'm assuming you were probably maybe looking for a bit of a description of what Co could bring as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, we've got some very cool things in the works. One of which will be an unnamed cover that's not a metal song that we've had in the works for about 2 years. It's sick, and we're so excited for it to be out. And there may or may not be some new material getting played.
Hey, that's what we want to hear. So we could get a preview. We're gonna get a mysterious cover of a not so metal song.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's a heater.
But heavier.
Heavy as.
Fantastic. All right, boys. Well, I'm gonna leave you with one that I like to ask around the traps. Andres Kisser had a particular take on it when I spoke to him earlier this year from Sepultura.
Awesome.
My colleague Dwayne, he'll often ask it in terms of a Black Sabbath album. But here's a scenario, and then we can go around and you can tell me your pick. If Armageddon arrived and you had to get on a spaceship to go start a new civilization on another planet, what is the one album you would take with you?
And Justice for All. And Justice for All. That's gone.
Grow up.
So you can play bass along with it, or
no. That is in that current form. Yeah, absolutely that one. That's the only Metallica record. That's the only one that exists, and that's gone. That's been shared it's in that abandoned planet.
all right. So we're hitting controversy first. Absolutely love it. Lachlan and Lucas, what are your picks?
I was actually talking to someone about this today. 100% Augment by Error. That was my introduction to progressive metalcore, and I just think it still stands up today. It lit a fire in my soul, and it hasn't gone out. So I will never go without that record.
Nice. Lucas, bring us home strong, mate.
Look,
You
yeah,
gotta save humanity
I had the time
here.
to think. I had time to think. It's not really a deep cut, but it probably wouldn't be many people's pick from this band. But I'd say "Alive or Just Breathing" by Killswitch Engage. That was
Yeah.
that was just before the
Yeah.
Howard era, and I remember just hearing it, with your LimeWire download on the school bus in middle school, like 20 years ago or whatever it would have been. And when the title track came on, I just felt like I could start swinging on those bus handles you hold on to, just as I was just so blown away. So yeah, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am if not for that album. So yeah, that's coming with me to this planet.
That's a good pick too. So we got Killswitch, Metallica, and Error. I think Humanity will be all right. I think we'll make it. If you three guys are on the spaceship with your one album each, I think we'll be okay.
It'll be okay. It might not smell that good, but it'll be okay.
Well, when you come down Victoria, we can swap tour bus stories.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for your time. Really looking forward to seeing what's in the pipeline. We're going to keep an eye on socials for a recording of that cover. Everyone who's listening can catch Co on August 29 at Swelterfest. And stand by for new music and perhaps a visit down to the Garden State here. And so we look forward to seeing you. And we'll keep in touch over Wall of Sound, and we'll make sure that the good people know that the NT metal scene is thriving.
Good on you, man.
Sick. Thanks, KJ.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Appreciate that.